Stop what you're doing. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tap into the pod.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
and I'm
Feel
gonna
the
tell
beat
you,
at some point. You know what I'm saying? They're
I
gonna
grew
feel
up
the
in a
beat at some
house of
point.
like craziness. So this man, like, if your phone rang while you were getting yelled at, he's throwing the phone at the wall. Like the number of phones he's had to repurchase, all of that. So when I came back home, I'm in my head like, he about to hop out this bed. He about to snatch these keys up. You know, I'm 17. I'm just now driving for the last few months. I knock on the door. I'm like, I'm here. He's like, okay, good night. Didn't take the keys. I guess he felt like, fuck it. Whatever's going to be is what it's going to be at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the day he
You
gave
just
up.
accepted it. You're like, you know what, y'all, you got it. Because I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
getting on you. I'm gonna keep yelling at you. Whatever the punishment's gonna be, I'm gonna keep dishing it out. But you apparently gonna keep fucking with this guy. So
Yeah, so oh well.
you
And I
got it.
mean, we all grew up together. We
Yep.
went to the same church. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, you see his parents every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night. Like, stop. Like, you know what I mean? We know who his parents are. I see them all the time, all of that. So even when my brother passed away, even though he and I had not talked for years, I ended up on the phone with his mother. We talked for about two hours before I saw his body. So, you know, that's just a family I've always known and been close with because they've known me since I was 13. So, yeah.
Okay. So another part of your book I want to touch on is your podcasting stint. Since you're on a podcast now, let's talk about a couple of the situations. Now, I'm familiar with everything that you spoke about except the first little situation, the podcast that you were a part of prior to us meeting.
Yes.
You speak about that, go into detail with what happened and, you know, like how did that relationship end and things of that nature?
Yeah. So, ironically, we still follow each other on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And the podcast started in 2019. So in 2017, we're going to go back. 2017, I got divorced. And then I ended up that same month while I'm scrolling on Instagram, which I had only had since 2016. It took a minute for me to get an IG account. And I come across this page where this guy's like looking for admins to help me with my pages. Shout out to him. That's my boy Mike. He messaged me right before we went live. We're still tight to this day. But back in 2017, me and a coworker that was a girlfriend of mine, like a friend, we were like, yeah, we'll do it. You know, he was like, well, do you want to do Thick World 1? Do you want to do Thick World 2? And we said, we'll take Thick World 2. So we take a look at both the pages. And we're like, you know what? Because Thick World 1 is so like bougie, we're going to take Thick World 2 and we're going to freak it out. Like, we're going to literally flip it. We're going to turn it into like the dark version.
Freak that bitch like a black and mild. Okay.
Exactly. And which we did successfully. And part of it was us going live. So I would go live pretty often. And there was this woman that kept popping up. And I'm not going to name her either. You know, I just no clout. And so, but she kept popping up. You should go, you know, you should do a podcast. You should start a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know nothing about a podcast, but I tell you what, girl, if you give me the details, we can set it up. So long story short, this woman ends up putting together a team for me to podcast.
And what was the name of this first podcast?
This was the very first podcast. And so
that was the name of it? What was the name of it? What was the name of it?
I cannot give the name. I'll tell you the name off.
Oh, okay, I got you. Go.
Yeah, like I said,
got you. No, yeah, got you.
Yeah,
no,
no free.
I got you.
But it was her. It was this guy that she knew, and it was this girl that she knew because that October she had just moved to Atlanta. And so I was like, all right, cool, let's get it started. Now, chapter 4, I believe, is the swing chapter. Buddy in the Robe.
Another hilarious chapter, by the way.
Huh?
Another hilarious chapter, by the way.
So the one that called my bluff, in the swing chapter ended up being the 5th member of the podcast. Yeah. And so now this podcast is developed. We're, you know, podcasting, everything's going cool. A lot of craziness is happening in Jersey. And I'm like, hey, I need to get out of Jersey. I need to get me and my kids out. My children's fathers, my ex-husband and my oldest son's father gave me the green light. Get the fuck out of Jersey. What are you still there for?
Right.
So the same person that created the podcast was like, move in with me. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, let's go. And so we ended up moving in together March 1st of 2020. We're all still podcasting. And it ultimately, genuinely, I'm not going to lie, it crumbled because jealousy and envy is a very real thing.
It is. Definitely.
And when you are dealing with people online, a lot of people, and I know you know this from experience, are not who they portray themselves to be. So when people actually meet me and they're like, oh, fuck, you're the same exact bitch that you were online. And I'm like,
exactly.
Why am I putting on? And so I think that when I deal with a lot of friendships with females, one or two things happen, right? You either rise to the occasion for yourself or you fall flat because now you're comparing yourself to how I carry myself or talk or, my personality. So when you see certain relationships that kind of fizzle out or things happen, there were comparisons there, right? Because for the ones that I talk about that I don't fuck with, I've got friendships that are 25 years and longer. So, that's where it started. The guy from the swing one, he was not being very accountable. So they told me, they was like, you got to fire him. I said, okay, fine, I'll fire him. I will say, I'll tell you the name of the podcast later. Every podcast that I had, I've created the names for. And so they're like, you got to let him go. So I let him go. She then proceeded to quote, push me out of the podcast. And so I was like, no.
This is the girl that said, move in with me?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah.
But at which point now I'm ready to go. Like her personality, her character, it doesn't align with mine. And I think the biggest struggle was you had two alpha females in one house, and it just made it harder to coexist because her children were forming bonds with me and mine were like not paying attention. Like they were trying to stay far away from her. My daughter, even though she was young, was like, she didn't like the way that the woman talked to her daughter, so she didn't want to build a relationship with her, that kind of thing. And so I think those kinds of things kind of weighed on her. The relationship I was in, there was a lot. There was too much to even say for her, what I mean?
Right.
The time that we had. But that's where it really came down to. She essentially combusted the entire podcast. And so when they asked me, oh, are you coming back? I told them, I said, you know what? I said, here's what I'm going to do to you. I said, you can have the podcast. You can have the name. You can have the LLC. You need to delete every podcast video that I'm in. Start from scratch. Let's see if you can do it the same way. Let's see if you can still do what you're doing without me there. And so that's what happened. And it ended up being 3 of them left. And then she eventually pushed out the other female as well. And then it was just her and the guy. And they're the ones that still manage the page and have created the TikTok. And they have their own tea, but I'm not going to tell it because I'm not trying to have anybody knock on my door and serve me. So
I got you. You know what I mean?
Now, but I will say that was not the end of her manipulation, games in people's lives, because then she did it in his as well.
Cool. So the next one I want to speak about is one that we had mutual, I guess, not interest, but mutual experiences with.
The one I met you through?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Because you did say my name, but of course I was a friend that you were speaking about during this.
Absolutely.
This part of it. So would you like to get into that? Because I do have some things to say about that.
You want to start?
Context. Well, I can start from my perspective, and then you can tell your side of things. So,
okay.
This individual actually reached out to me on, I believe it was Instagram. I'm not sure if it was Instagram, Snapchat, or something like that. But she reached out to me about podcasting because I apparently was podcasting before her. So initially, how we met was her asking me about podcasting, how to get into it. Things that she can do, pretty much asking for advice. And of course, at the time, my response was more so, this is what I did, but with podcasting, it's whatever you want it to be. You know what I mean? You could literally just record your voice on something and put it on something and label it a podcast. You can have visuals like this. You can, whatever you want it to be. You can go live and call it a podcast on social media. It's really about, what you want it to be. So that's how we met or whatever. So we were cool, and as you mentioned in the book, unfortunately, she was crushing on me, which I can understand. But we're adults, and this is how we met through this lane. So our relationship was podcast based. It wasn't something that I was interested as far as where she, wanted to take it. I was just strictly a platonic friend to her. But of course, she wanted more, and I'm sure that played a factor in me and her no longer speaking, as y'all no longer speak, which I'm gonna, you're gonna get into that or whatever. But from my end, things became weird when, of course, I invited you on a podcast versus her. Now, I will say she did have me on a couple of her podcasts, but the way I operate is I'm just not going to have you just to come on because we cool. Like, it just has to make sense as far as the content and what we're talking about. Unfortunately, and I say this very respectfully, she just was boring as fuck to me. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was always hard for me to figure out what show or where could I fit her in, because from her content, what she
You're
liked
a monster.
where the content that she pushed was always talking about relationships.
Yeah.
Obviously, I never talk about relationships on my shit. That's not my platform. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I have one story or one episode when I talked about my high school heartbreak, but that was just a story and an experience, not necessarily how I operate and what I'm looking for, or what I got, or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do that. That's just not what I do. So for me, unfortunately, I could not find an episode. Like, I mean, of course, it was going to happen at some point in time. Like, I'll give you an example. And I talked about this with you in the past or whatever. Like, there's this gay guy that I work with or whatever. And he was like, oh, Ace put me on the show or whatever. I'm like, I got you. He cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's very personable, but again, I don't know where I'm going to fit you in, but I got you, bro. So maybe after a year of me podcasting solo, because I was in a group prior to me going solo, P-Valley was getting popular, and the Lil Murder or whatever his name is, the character in P-Valley, he was battling being a rapper from the hood, but like men or whatever. I was like, oh shit, this is a popular series. I know he watches it because I've seen him post about it before. He's a gay black man. Hey, I can bring you on for this. Let's talk about the show and how it is, being a gay black man or coming out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something that we can correlate to or whatever as far as the conversation. So again, it just popped up. It happened. That's what I was waiting for with her. But of course, because of her infatuation with me, she didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So of course you came on a couple of times, and she felt some type of way about it, and I wasn't aware of it, but I noticed that me and her hadn't spoken, or the conversations were kind of dry with